It is heartbreaking that a mother has to bury her 21-year-old daughter that leaves 2 kids. That's heartbreaking.
21-year-old Kanesha Gaines, a mother of 2, shot in the face just before 1 a.m., rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital where she died. Gaines had been out with friends at a party.
And I'm tearing up because I have a 15-year-old daughter, and to think that I'll let her go out into the world and something like this tragically happened to have a good time at a luau. I'm heartbroken.
Gaines was one of 9 women shot when police say a black Jeep pulled up to the 1500 block of South Keeler and several men inside opened fire. The women range in age from their early 20s through their early 30s. Another woman was shot 8 times and is right now fighting for her life at Mount Sinai. And with no one in custody, community leaders are begging the public for leads.
There's a coward amongst our community will take out their frustration and shoot women. We're supposed to protect our women in our communities.
If it's your son, if it's your grandson, if it's your nephew, if it's your friend, if it's your cousin, we must speak out.
CPD's Crime Victim Services Unit has reached out to survivors of the shooting to provide resources to them, while Area 4 detectives want to hear from you if you know anything about who's responsible.
It affects the community as a whole. And you don't often, this is not something that's normal where 9 people are shot at one time.
Hi, my friends. Welcome or welcome back. It seems like society is changing for the worst. We need to do better because society used to be a shield for women safeguarding their dreams and hopes. Today, I want to share a tragic event that has left one family in mourning and many other families struggling with the trauma of what took place at a birthday party in Chicago. This vlog today will be about Kanesha Gaines, a young woman whose life was filled with dreams and hopes, but was taken away too soon. In this video, we'll talk about the sad events that changed everything for Kanesha and her family.
And 8 other women were injured in a mass shooting. It happened just after midnight near Keeler and 15th Street. That's in North Lawndale. Well, tonight we're hearing from the mother of that woman who was killed.
These children, not only my daughter, but every child that got shot there, they deserve some type of justice. They really do, because our kids, our teenagers should be able to go hang out.
It's a story that will make us reflect on the importance of love and support in difficult times. Join us as we remember Kanesha and the tears she left behind. In Chicago's North Lawndale neighborhood, on the 1500 block of South Keeler Avenue, a tragic incident unfolded just before 1 a.m. on Sunday, July 30th. Kanesha and a group of women had gathered for a Hawaiian-themed birthday celebration. Suddenly, a black Jeep approached, and without warning, multiple unidentified suspects armed with firearms emerged and opened fire on the women, according to the police. Kanesha, who was a 21-year-old mother of 2, was struck in the face by a gunshot and was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital, where she tragically lost her life. A 28-year-old woman suffered 8 gunshot wounds to her torso and remained in critical condition, also taken to Mount Sinai Hospital. The age range of the victims spans from 20 to 33 years old. 8 additional women were wounded during the shooting, and all were reported to be in stable condition at Mount Sinai and Stroger hospitals, as confirmed by the police. Chicago police issued a statement on Sunday afternoon denouncing the incident as a reprehensible act of violence. Maria Bryson, a nearby resident, lamented, "You can't even go outside anymore." Relatives disclosed that Kanesha Gaines worked as a home healthcare worker and part-time hairstylist. She leaves behind a 3-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. Currently, no suspects are in custody, and former Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy pointed to street gangs and the pervasive no-snitch code as significant obstacles to solving such cases. He expressed concern that a lack of cooperation hinders progress in solving murders. What that means is that the no-snitch or stop-snitching policy, often prevalent in some communities, is a culture of not cooperating with law enforcement or authorities by refusing to provide information or testify about criminal activities. While this policy may be viewed by some as a way to maintain loyalty within a community or protect individuals from retaliation, it negatively affects the solving of crimes. Murder rates in Chicago vary significantly by neighborhood, with predominantly African American areas on the South Side experiencing poverty, below average educational opportunities, and high levels of street gang activity. For instance, Inglewood on the South Side and Austin on the West Side have homicide rates that are 10 times higher than other parts of the city. This is very sad. Natasha Graham found herself at the morgue on Monday morning to identify her daughter, the second child she has lost to gun violence in Chicago in the last 4 years. She struggled to come to terms with the reality and began planning the funeral for Kanesha, remembering her as a happy, outgoing person. Natasha said that Kanesha's 2-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son sensed that something was wrong, and Natasha grappled with how to explain the tragedy to them. Her granddaughter repeatedly asked for her missing mother. Very, very sad. Another 28-year-old woman, who suffered 8 gunshot wounds, remained in critical condition at the same hospital. A 20-year-old man and 6 other women, aged 24 to 33, also sustained injuries in the attack, and they were confirmed to have been present at the party. The man later arrived at a hospital claiming to have been shot in the same area, but it was unclear if he had been part of the gathering. The police have not determined the motive behind the shooting and have not apprehended any suspects. We all know that the no-snitching policy on the streets is the main reason. Graham, already a strict parent, became even more cautious with her daughters after her 18-year-old son Keshaun was fatally shot in 2019. She expressed her fear of losing another child. But unfortunately, that's exactly what happened due to the streets of Chicago. Kanesha had plans to move back home with her mother on the South Side, but those plans, as we now know, were tragically cut short. Natasha said she was so proud of the positive changes she had witnessed in her daughter, particularly Kanesha's newfound sense of purpose and job satisfaction. Kanesha had shared a meal with her mother the Sunday before the shooting, cooking steak, macaroni, and mashed potatoes. Their relationship had been on an upswing, and they were building a stronger bond. In the aftermath of the attack, community groups and law enforcement gathered at the Deliverance Temple Church of the Apostolic Faith to provide crisis counseling and support for victims and their families. The center's goal was to aid victims on their path to healing, according to lling Robinson, Assistant Director of the Chicago Police Department's Crime Victim Services. The church hosted counselors with brochures outlining available services, including pamphlets about the police department's crime victim services and the Center on Halstead's anti-violence project. Stress relief tools like stress balls and Play-Doh were provided, and 2 therapy dogs from Lutheran Church Charities were present to offer comfort. I believe that this much-needed support was very commendable. While the effort was commendable, some, like Alderman Monique Scott, pointed out that the center primarily consisted of outreach workers and lacked the presence of victims or their neighbors. There was concern that the visible police presence outside the church might deter victims seeking assistance. Interim Chicago Police Superintendent Fred Waller expressed hope that the center would foster stronger community relationships, emphasizing the importance of extending support to victims and building trust. This marked the city's second centralized outreach service following a mass shooting within a year. The previous service, organized by the violence prevention group UCAN, was held in Lawndale after 14 people were shot on October 31st in the 800 block of South California Avenue. Frank Perez, a director at UCAN, underscored the value of such outreach centers, which demonstrate care and support from various organizations, including not-for-profits and the Chicago Police Department. Area 4 detectives are investigating and sifting through evidence as we work to identify and apprehend the people responsible. We ask anyone with information to please submit an anonymous tip through cpdtip.com or contact Area 4 detectives at 312-746-8252. We're at the end of this sad story. Kanesha's story reminds us how life can be really tough sometimes. It's important to be aware and help each other. We'll always remember Kanesha, her family, and all the victims, and let's keep them in our hearts. Thank you for being a part of this, and please remember that awareness unites us all.
bought it, crib, got it, job on it. Did I ever ask you to take me to go shopping in Paris or go sailing overseas and just drape me in Gucci? No. All I ever asked was you to pick up the phone when you alone. All I ever asked was you to show me some love, kisses and hugs. No, I never had an issue. Go to the club with your boys, baby. I never wanted you to stay too long. Just wanted you to show me up. So won't you say my name? Say my name. If you claim you want me, it ain't no thing. You acting kinda shady. You ain't been calling me baby. Boy, you can go stop playing games, playing games.
From the tragic shooting that occurred early Sunday in the 1500 block of South Keeler. This shooting left a 21-year-old woman dead and 8 others injured. Our deepest condolences are with the family of the young woman who was killed. Our detectives are working hard to identify and apprehend the people responsible for this shooting. We ask anyone with information to please submit an anonymous tip through cpdtip.com or contact Area 4 detectives at 312-746-8252. Our crime victims advocates have been working throughout the past 24 hours to reach out to the victims and connect them with resources as they begin to process what happened. Crime Victim Services has also set up an assistance center that will open shortly at 1 p.m. and will remain open until 7 p.m. tonight at the Deliverance Temple Church of the Apostolic Faith at 1457 South Kaminsky Avenue. This assistance center is open to anyone who has been affected by violence, including yesterday's shooting in North Lawndale. Our crime victim advocates and our community partners are there right now getting ready to assist anyone who needs support. When acts of violence occur, it's more than just the direct victims and their families who are affected. This violence creates a ripple effect that can touch an entire community. This includes the children who heard the gunfire in their neighborhood or the family who lives down the street from where the shooting occurred and saw the aftermath. Though we know the trauma of violence never fully heals, our hope is that we can provide support and advocacy to those affected as they learn to live with the experiences they carry. I'd now like to turn it over to Assistant Director Aileen Robinson, who can expand on the services available. Aileen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Following yesterday's senseless act of gun violence, the Chicago Police Department's Crime Victim Services team began the process to set up an assistance center that will be opening shortly at 1 o'clock today. After an incident of violence, victims most often have the need to feel safe. That's most often accomplished by the arrival of police and by the provision of medical services. Following that are the next steps where Crime Victim Services come into play. How is it that we can help that person or persons get on the path to healing after following a traumatic event? We're going to start to do that today by the opening of the Assistance Center. What is an Assistance Center? An Assistance Center is a designated space that offers services to victims, co-victims, family members, friends, and community members impacted by major incidents. This is an opportunity for us to get into the community and to expedite crisis services and referrals to crucial recovery services. Who's served by the Assistance Center? Today's Assistance Center has been activated to serve victims of this weekend's gun violence. We are also serving family and friends of victims, witnesses of the incidents, residents, and the affected community at large. We're able to serve others impacted by violence not necessarily related to the 10th District incident from this past weekend. What are some of the services that are provided? Immediate crisis counseling, safe space to ask a question, financial losses that may have incurred as being the result of being a victim of crime. We are able to complete crime victim compensation applications on site and begin that process. Address stress and just needing down and quiet time and maybe spend some time with the therapy dogs that will be present. Talk with a detective if you have questions about your case or if you have information and you would like to speak with a detective. If you're experiencing domestic violence and you want to talk to someone confidentially, we have certified domestic violence counselors on site. If as a result of the injury that you incurred, you need durable medical equipment, we're able to help facilitate that and expedite getting that equipment to you. How do you know if you need services? The best answer is, if you're asking yourself this question, please come out to the Assistance Center and we'll do a quick assessment to see what services are needed, even if it's only to express the concerns that you have and you need a safe space to share them. If you would allow me to quickly introduce our community partners who answered phone calls on this wonderful Sunday Chicago afternoon to answer the call and come up and support the Assistance Center. The Helen and Joe Foundation, Lutheran Church Charities Canine Ministries, UCAN Community Services, and of course our Assistance Center host, Deliverance Temple of the Apostolic Faith Church. The need to feel safe is universal. In the chaos of a mass incident, finding answers can be overwhelming. The Chicago Police Department Crime Victim Services staff and our partnering agencies are available today to provide assistance. Our services are confidential. A police report is not needed. The Assistance Center opens at 1 o'clock and will run until 7 p.m. this evening at 1457 South Kamensky. No appointment is needed. We look forward to seeing you this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content and would like to see more videos on topics like crime and violence in our communities in the future, please consider liking the video by hitting the thumbs up button. Share the video on any social media platform of your choosing to increase awareness and engage more people in the discussion about crime and violence in our communities. And don't forget to comment and open up a dialogue and discuss what can be done to address the issues. Your engagement and feedback play a crucial role. Thank you for being a part of this important conversation. Stay safe and remember that awareness unites us all.